We've all felt it. That prickle on the back of your neck when you walk past a doll sitting in a darkened room. We call it the uncanny valley, a psychological glitch. But what if it's not a glitch? What if your lizard brain is recognizing something your conscious mind is too scared to admit? For thousands of years, dolls weren't for playing. They were for containing. They were vessels built to hold things that didn't have a body anymore. Grief, spirits, and sometimes ancient curses. Tonight, we're going beyond the jump scares. We're looking at the true, heavy history of the dolls that were never meant to be toys. And the cases that prove some objects never truly stay empty. In the ancient world, a doll was a tool of sympathetic magic. In Rome and Greece, if a child died, a doll was often buried with them, not as a toy, but as a substitute. The idea was to trick the spirits of the underworld into taking the doll instead of the child's soul, or to give the child's spirit a body so it wouldn't wander back to the world of the living. In the Victorian era, this took a darker, more domestic turn. This was the age of mourning dolls. When a child passed away, parents would sometimes have a wax effigy made. These dolls were life-sized, often incorporating the actual hair of the deceased child. They would be dressed in the child's clothes and placed in their crib. Imagine walking into a nursery in 1880 and seeing a mother rocking a wax figure made of her dead daughter's hair. The line between loving memory and inviting the dead to stay was razor thin. And sometimes something answered the invitation. This brings us to Japan, 1918. The legend of Okiku. Aikichi Suzuki bought a doll for his little sister. When she died of a sudden fever, the doll was placed on the family's butsudan, altar. Then, the hair started growing. It wasn't just shifting, it was biological. The hair, originally a short, traditional cut, grew past the doll's shoulders, down to its knees. When the family eventually gave the doll to the Manenji temple, the monks noticed something even more terrifying. As they trimmed the hair, they realized the doll's mouth was slowly opening. Inside, where there should have been wood and paint, human teeth were beginning to push through the gums. To this day, the monks at Manenji perform a hair-cutting ceremony every year. They say the doll is no longer wood. It has become a living, breathing memorial for a girl who refused to leave. You've heard of Annabelle, right? But have you heard of the ones the cameras missed? In the 1970s, a man named Kerry Walton found a wooden doll under the floorboards of a derelict, 200-year-old house. He named it Letta Me Out. It was made of hand-carved wood and has real human hair from the 18th century. When Letta is in a room, dogs howl and try to attack it. People who sit near it report uncontrollable sobbing, for no reason. Most chillingly, under its hair, the doll's scalp has what looks like a soft spot, similar to a human infant's skull. And if the idea of a doll with a human scalp isn't enough to make you turn on the lights, consider the dolls designed to be perfect mirrors of their owners. Vessels that didn't just hold spirits, but stolen identities. Pupa was made in the 1920s to look exactly like her owner. The owner claimed Pupa was her best friend and would speak to her. After the owner died in 2005, the family put Pupa in a glass case. Since then, they've recorded the doll moving her limbs, tapping on the glass from the inside, and, most disturbingly, the glass case fogging up from the inside, as if something is breathing against it. If a doll can absorb the breath and energy of a single owner, imagine what happens to us up to one used as a silent witness to the fractured minds of an asylum. Found face down in the rotted floorboards of the abandoned Byberry Mental Hospital, an institution notorious for its history of patient abuse and overcrowding. This doll was never meant to be a toy. It was a tool for play therapy, clutched by some of the most violent and fractured minds in the asylum's history. Those who have held the Byberry doll report a weight that defies physics. It feels emotionally heavy. as if the porcelain is saturated with lead. But the true horror is the physical reaction it triggers. Witnesses report the sudden, overpowering scent of rotting flowers, the smell of a funeral parlor immediately followed by blinding migraines, so intense, they cause temporary vision loss. Experts in the paranormal classify this as a residual sponge. The doll didn't just sit in the room while horrors occurred. It was squeezed, whispered to, and wept over by people in states of total psychosis. It didn't just witness the trauma of the asylum, it absorbed it. Now it radiates that agony back to anyone who dares to touch it. So, why do they move? Why does the hair grow? Some researchers believe in the tulpa effect. If a grieving mother spends 20 years talking to a doll, feeding it and crying over it, she is feeding that object a massive amount of psychic energy. Eventually, that energy takes on a life of its own. The doll doesn't start out haunted. We haunt it. We give it a face, we give it a name, and eventually it finds a voice. Now, remember, the next time you're at an antique shop or a flea market and you see an old, dusty doll tucked in the corner, maybe leave it there. You don't know who it used to belong to or what they left behind inside it. That forgotten doll in the corner of the antique shop isn't just decoration. It has a history. And whatever was left behind inside, it might still be waiting. So, with all said, see you in the next one, if you dare.